Hello.
Fantastic. So, hi, my name's Jane, and absolutely delighted that you're joining us today. And I am the owner of Raiveon. We specialize in videos, and I'm joined today with my husband Kevin, who's in the chat panel, and so he'll be answering any questions and keeping an eye on the chat. And I'm absolutely delighted that we have Anton Bollen to join us today. I've known Anton a few years because I've been working with TechSmith products for about 8 years now. And I first met Anton in person at the Camtasia user group in London, and we had a great evening, drinks and chatting all things video and Camtasia. And then I had the pleasure of working with Anton at the Learning Technologies this year, and no, Anton knows his stuff. So without further ado, I shall let you introduce yourself, Anton, and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jane. You forgot in your little introduction that not only did we meet at the Camtasia user meetup in London, but right before that, Jane and Kevin were nice enough to actually show me around London a little bit because I hadn't been
Yes.
in about 15 years. So we had a really nice afternoon of some food and going to some markets and just really connecting as well on topics of learning Camtasia and video, but also beyond that as just
Yeah.
people. And that's something I really value in this community or being part of the L&D community. And so I'm really also happy to be here today with Jane, with all of you. So I can share a little bit of what I've been doing, but I really hope that we can also treat this as a learning opportunity so I can learn from you and we can all learn from each other to better understand what video really means to us. So I think at this point, I'm going to turn off my webcam and I think Jane is going to do the same so we can focus a little bit more on the actual content. I have a short presentation. I don't know, it's actually not a short presentation. I have a presentation prepared, but I have it broken up into a couple different sections. And we'll be doing some small interactive exercises as well, just to make sure, yeah, we are not just listening, but we're also contributing. If you have questions at any time, just pop them into the chat window. Kevin and Jane are more than willing and able to then relay the questions to me and interrupt me. So please do if there's anything relevant that's not clear. And also, you're more than welcome. I think at the top of the screen, you have this little icon with a person raising its hand. And there's some like emoji icons behind it. And I'm going to enable one right now that is, you can like agree and disagree. So if you like something or don't like something, and you just want to throw it in there, feel free to also try to use the chat or the attendee icon like I'm doing right now with the check mark, just to see if yeah, how you're feeling about it. And we can try to check in on that. All right. So without further ado, you should be seeing my slide now, why viewers stop watching videos and what you can do about it. And let me just get started. So as Jane said, my name's Anton Bollen. I live in the city of Berlin and I'm the customer and market strategist for a company called TechSmith. We make Camtasia and Snagit, which I think a lot of you know. They're software products for creating learning content. But those products are not the focus of today's session, but we'll be just talking generally about video. And one thing for you to know about me as well is that I used to be an instructional designer. I used to create a lot of training videos, and I work very closely with a lot of people who create learning videos. So when I have to say, when people ask me, so what are you passionate about? What do you really love doing? Usually the answer comes back down to video, and particularly learning video, instructional video, that kind of stuff, right? I'm a video geek. I'm not ashamed of it. In fact, I actually love it, and I love finding other video geeks to talk more about what actually makes, yeah, good video content. And that's what I think we are here to talk to today. Real little flashback, just because I love this photo so much, and I don't know, maybe one or two of you are actually in this crowd. So I spoke about video at Learning Technologies London last year and this year. And I think last year I was able to take this super awesome selfie with all these wonderful people. And yeah, I think that's what motivates me to do my job and to be a geek and share this because I feel I can help people and I can learn from people as well. So let's talk about video because I think we all agree that video is the future or maybe even already the present. We are all creating more video content. Our learners, our viewers, our customers, ourselves, we are all watching more of it and it's simply changing the way information is being transferred. And for a long time, companies or some companies try to hide themselves a little bit and saying like, oh, it's a fad or we are not sure what we're doing it. We're not sure what to do about video, but I don't know if that's really an option anymore. So, and I think most of you joined today because you agree with me. I think I recognize some of you as well, and I know you're creating your own videos. So I'm preaching to the choir right here when I say video is the future, but I think it also puts us to a good spot to talk more about taking video to the next level. Because one thing, and I hope these slides are showing up okay for you, like we all know that video is not the same as a video, right? There's really good learning videos or instructional videos, and there's really, really bad one. And we've all seen too many bad videos to know that we should try to avoid them at all costs, because we're not doing ourselves a favor, nor are we doing our content or our audience a favor by creating bad video content. So a few things I like to think of is really, right, we have to understand what actually video means in our field and what we're trying to do with it, which brings us also to the purpose, right? I think I've seen enough videos that didn't have a clear goal or a purpose and that got too focused on making things pretty, where the actual outcome got a little bit lost or devalued. And that is in our field, I don't think is the right approach. And ultimately, when we're trying to understand the purpose, what are we trying to achieve with any piece of content that is created, I think it really comes down a lot of the time to really the user, the viewer, the person at the end of the day that has to watch this video and absorb that information and do something with it. And so I really like to focus on the user and trying to really understand the user, because by understanding the user, it allows us to better understand what type of content we should be creating. Whew, that was a bit of a mouthful, but I hope you're all still following, right? So me and some colleagues at TechSmith, we've been trying to really understand the viewer, the user of this video content. And in order to do so, we've been running a survey for not 3 years in a row, but we've done this 3 times now. We started in 2013, then we repeated it in 2016, and then we just finished one up in December of 2018 and spent the better half of last year analyzing that data and figuring out what it really could mean. And some of the questions we asked these participants, they were all questions about learning videos, but we asked them things like, how long should videos be? Or why do you stop watching videos? Or what made you watch this video in the first place? Or what elements do you consider essential in a learning videos? And these are the insights that I found really interesting to gather from this survey, because it allows us to take a look at content from the perspective of the user. But it also gives us a lot of valuable lessons on how we can improve our own content, our own video strategy, our own videos that we are creating to better meet those needs. And I'm hoping that is something that I can share with you guys today. And I'm just seeing it in the chat as well. The entire report is available as a PDF, as a download. We also have an extensive blog post about it. So you definitely will be able to look at the data and some of the questions I'm not exposing today in more detail at a later point, and yeah, hopefully apply them to your own work. So real quick on the background of the study, just so you know who was in that latest rendition, the one from 2018. So we split the survey up over 6 key regions. Yeah, so you can see there's Australia, Canada, the UK, America, but also France and Germany, because we wanted the research to represent really a more global sample, or at least a sample of our own personal or our own main audiences. We also looked at a whole wide variety of industries, because we didn't want the responses to just be limited to, let's say, software training or to the education field. And then last but not least, we made a point of not asking our own customers, because we think that most of them have drank the Kool-Aid, right? Most of them believe in what we're doing or in the concept of video, but we work with an external firm to, find 924 random participants from all these different sectors and countries, just to give us a little bit more broader and applicable sample, right? And yes, go Canada. I'm seeing that those questions, right? We made sure we thought of you guys as well. Okay? So, by the way, where in Canada are you from? I used to live in Michigan, so I went over to Toronto quite frequently. But back to the presentation while Jack might respond. There was a question, why was there a decrease in participants? So this was just real quick and perfect for throwing a question. So we used to interview on the first time, 2013, we interviewed 2,000 people. Then we brought it down to about 900 people. Honestly, that had to do a little bit with just the scope and the investment of that research. By working with an external firm, we decided to broaden the amount of countries we were able to interview, but we had to take down the overall number just from a bandwidth and time and money perspective. Yeah, but I'm hoping this data, especially collectively for all regions together, is still relevant and applicable. Cool. Nice to see you being from near Toronto. Cool. So the study was particularly focused on informational and instructional videos. So informational videos being the ones that teach you concepts and ideas, informational share outs, right? And that's something that I think applies to a lot of the work that we are doing. And on the other side, we were focusing on instructional videos that teach the user how to do something. So a bit more tactical, how to apply or move through a certain number of steps. And we focused on these two types of videos because I think they're rather representative for any kind of knowledge transfer. And we also wanted to make sure we did not focus on cat content and funny videos because I think, well, I don't think, but I know the reasons why people watch cat content and funny videos and all kind of educational other things is very different than the reasons for watching informational and instructional videos. And I didn't want that data, or we didn't want that data to get mixed up or kind of, diluted based on that. Okay, cool. So what did we actually find out, right? So there were a couple high-level things that are pretty neat. So we asked people, how often do you actually watch videos? And just by looking at the slide right here, you should be seeing my little green arrow. We can see that the majority of the people watch more than 2 videos per week, right? So we have 2 to 5, 5 to 10, and more than 10 videos per week. So this together adds up to, I believe, 53%, if I'm doing my math correctly. And in a lot of ways, that tells us that more than 50% watch at least 2 videos a week. And that seems like a lot. And if we compare this actually over the evolution over time, we're seeing an absolutely massive jump based on that same question. If you're combining these categories, that it used to be, the people that are super active viewers with 2 or more videos or learning videos per week, this has almost doubled in the last 2 or 3 years. And I think this is a trend that's going to continue to grow, and it's one of the reasons why I think we all are investing in videos and creating more video content. And this was particularly, this increase was even more noticeable with the instructional videos over the informational videos, but in both categories we saw definitely a significant jump over the last few years. Okay, so I want us to take a bit of a different perspective, as I said earlier, right? Because it's always good to look through the perspective of the viewer, the learner, when we're looking at any kind of problem or anything that we're trying to solve. And I want you to meet Jenna. Jenna is a made-up person, but she is a great person, and she works at a I don't even know where she works. I lost my little fact sheet. But she's in her mid-30s. She's just a learning persona. I wonder, maybe some of you have worked with learning personas before. And Jen has a problem that she needs to accomplish something in PowerPoint, and she's not particularly good at PowerPoint, right? What she's trying to do for her next big presentation, she wants to remove the background of the image within PowerPoint, right? So think yourself into the perspective of Jenna. And so she has that problem. She's sitting at work. She's fairly introvert, so she's not the kind of person who just goes out and asks everybody for the solution. So if you were Jenna and you didn't know how to remove the background of an image in PowerPoint, what would you do? Or what would Jenna do? And for this, we should have, I'm going to enable the drawing tools right now. And on the screen on the left side, you should have a little draw panel, and you should be able to add some text. So some people are also putting it into the chat. That's also fine. So somebody would say, let's Google it or use YouTube. Feel free to add your own text to this slide as well. We'll talk about this too for a second. Go to YouTube, Google. Awesome. We got more YouTube questions. What else might Jenna do? She might, no, there are no wrong answers. We're all people, right? I think she might ask a coworker, even if she's a bit introvert. Maybe she goes to the, someone says she's opened up Photoshop. I don't think Jenna has Photoshop. I don't think her company gave her that tool. I think she's just limited to Photoshop for this particular task. Ooh, ask a coworker, ask my son. Ask someone for help. She might go to the Microsoft Help Center or in the PowerPoint Help Center, the tutorial section, to see if there's really good instructions on that. What else do we have? Use the help function. All right, cool. And these are all super relevant answers, and I think they're all something that people might do. And I think when we are looking at our learning content, and we always have the goal of making sure our learning content gets to the person that needs it, yeah, we have to consider all these things where Jenna or our users might be looking for answers, and make sure that we in our content is actually there, right? If you think about it. And let me actually, oops, I now just took them all away. There we go, there they are again. Yeah, so let's take a look at what people actually responded, because we asked that same question to the audience. Where did you find the most recent video that you watched? And surprise, surprise, I don't know if it's a big surprise, but almost half of them said, yeah, I had a problem and I specifically searched for it. That is this big yellow pie right here with the 48%, right? So even though we have the help file, we have maybe I work in software, right? We have dialogues within the software that tell you how to do things. We have a fancy help center built out on our website, but most people, they just go to good old-fashioned search. Yeah, there's other categories as well. Some people share it, people showed it to them, but search is such a huge, important part for making sure your learning content and your videos can actually be found. And if you break down this 48% one more time, so you search for a video, but where did you search? And this breaks down one more time to 54% in our sample, let's say roughly half of them, they go to a public video site, which is short for, YouTube or Vimeo, right? So people go there specifically because they know they want to search for a video, right? So they're no longer just, well, 44% go to Google or Yahoo to search for it, and that's where they're finding their video. So it's important your content shows up on regular search as well. But so many of our users are defaulting to YouTube as the search platform. And I feel like that oftentimes, depending on the type of content you're creating, can be underestimated. Where, like, I know even some of our own help videos are not yet available on YouTube, and I feel like that we are completely missing out this big opportunity to actually reach our users who are provenly going to YouTube to look for helpful video content. So when you create, so that is something for you to generally keep in mind of where am I placing my videos and can my users actually find it? So let's try something. I want us to make some choices for Jenna. Yeah, so we said before that she might do a normal typical search. She's part of that 48%. And of course she gets a lot of different answers. That's good, but let's focus on video, okay? Because on video, if you do a YouTube search, yeah, there's a lot we can actually learn simply by looking at what the viewer is seeing. So YouTube as well, if you type in how to remove the background in PowerPoint, you get a gazillion videos. And actually the choices get really difficult to make because there's so much out there and the learner doesn't necessarily know what is the good content and which one is bad. So I went ahead together with my colleague Matt Pierce, and we picked out 5 videos, which you're seeing right here. And I would love for you to post in the chat which one of these 5 you would choose and why, right? This is kind of like my, I don't know if you have that show in the UK, kind of like your heart moment, like which candidate is it gonna be? Is it candidate number 1, the one with the rose on it? Is it 2 with a professional logo? 3 with the attractive black man, 4 with a before and after picture, or 5 with a random smart car? So I'd love to see why you people are deciding which video you would choose if you were Jenna or if you had that particular question, doesn't really matter. All right, so I'm seeing someone says, yeah, the one with in number 2 because it has the official PowerPoint logo. That seems official. Great. Yeah, maybe 3 also has a PowerPoint logo in it. That could help it. Right? Ooh, someone is saying number 4 because it is the shortest at 1:24. Absolutely good point. Miles, why would you choose number 3? Let's see what else we got. Some people are saying 3. 4 looks the easiest. Yeah, maybe because it has a clear before and after picture. Yeah, number 3 also, it makes it look simple. And I think there's something to be said about being able to see the outcome of what you're trying to achieve. Both 3 and 4, and to some extent 1, tell us or show us really what we're looking after. So if you are Jenna or I'm Jenna and I know what I'm trying to accomplish, and this thumbnail is already telling me or indicating to me, hey, this is likely going to show me what I'm looking for, these are great reasons to actually select this video. Yeah. Then also we talked about video length a little bit, maybe also the title. Yeah, I haven't seen that in the chat right now, but I think that's something as well. There's also maybe the version number to go after. Number 3 specifically talking about PowerPoint 2019, which might be the version I'm using, while option 2 is still based on an older video, so on an older PowerPoint version, so it might be less relevant. And these are all things that resonate to you as you're experiencing right now. They resonate to Jenna and they resonate to all of our learners. And they are important for our users to make decisions on which content to choose. And this could be on YouTube. But honestly, if you have an LMS or your own learning platform or your own website where you post the content, it works exactly the same way. The learners come there, they look at the available information, and they will need to make a choice based on the information you are giving them. Yeah. Cool. Let's see what we found out based on that a little bit. So why did people choose videos? Yeah, and this is what people told us. And the top reason is title and description were interesting and intriguing and maybe informative, right? We're still basing a lot on what is this video promising us to do or teach us. Yeah, video length is a really big factor as well. And we all know if something can be explained in 2 minutes, why should I watch a 10-minute video on doing it? Entertainment is also valued high, right? There's something to be said about the fourth one as well. I've seen content from the same author before. Yeah, whether you've seen the content from the same author, I think this also implies a little bit this idea of professionalism or of something that looks official. I think Jonathan mentioned earlier he would have picked a video with a PowerPoint logo because it simply implied like, yeah, this is something that's authentic and it can be trusted. Yeah, and if you've seen something from the same author or company before, you usually can trust them. I've seen some of Jayne's videos, so when I know she makes a new Camtasia or any kind of video, I know that usually it's going to be good content and worth watching because there are things to see in there. And there's other reasons as well, but they all factor in on why people are watching our videos. So let's see let's break this down a little bit. We talked a little bit about the title of a video. Yeah, what is actually in it? What does it tell the learner? As well as the description. And there's so much in there that tells me as a learner what to expect. It can tell me about the style of a video, the version numbering, if it really is going to teach me step by step that I'm trying to solve something, or if it's just going to give me an overview. And these titles and descriptions are good for the learner who might be on your learning platform or on YouTube trying to decide which video to choose. But it can also be really good for just search engine optimization. So if that person just goes to Google and searches for how do I do this in my product, in PowerPoint, let's say, to make sure that your content shows up in the right spots. Yeah, and I have a little thing right here because I've definitely seen videos like this. The video itself is brilliant, but the title and the descriptions are anything but brilliant. And of course, as a learner, nobody's going to find this. Nobody's click on it. I know I'm also guilty of this. I give my videos a decent title, but damn, I'm really lazy about the description. And so I'm not really providing the audience with the right information on what's actually behind that content. At least right here I added, it's about repairing a washing machine, and ACME is a fake company. So at least I know what machine it's about. But let's take a look at the third one, which I think is really close to perfect. Yeah. So the title is How to Repair a Washing Machine, Replacing the Rubber Seal, Acme WML05 Tutorial. So the title alone is already telling Google, as well as my learner, as well as myself, it's teaching someone how to repair a washing machine. It's indicating what is being replaced, and that is the rubber seal. It's telling me what kind of washing machine it is, ACME, and then model WML05. And it's also telling me about the style of video or style of content. In this case, it's a tutorial. So me as a user, as a learner, I would know that, yeah, this is probably something that will teach me and something that I can follow along. And then if you take a look at the description, it takes it even one step further by indicating, hey, this will actually have step-by-step instructions in it. It tells me the year of the washing machine, which might be helpful. It gives me additional other compatible models. And it even includes maybe some language for, some people might be searching for replacing the rubber seal. Other people might be looking for a solution for a leaking door, and they don't even know that the rubber seal is at fault. So by simply providing and building out this type of these instructions and descriptions can help your learners make those really good decisions. And as we saw on the previous slide, they are the main driving force why people decide to click on your video or to choose your video. Yeah. And as I said before, this doesn't necessarily just have to be like the video description in the title in the way of YouTube or video platform. If you're taking a look actually at what Microsoft did, they have a help article, and a lot of the information, version number, what's being done, step-by-step instruction, can also be embedded on the help article or on that blog post that is accompanying the video that you created or wherever else it's going, right? As long as you can provide contextual information, it will help the viewer. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about video length because that is a really fun one and one of the best questions I have heard, or not best questions, but the common questions I always hear. Why do people necessarily watch, or how long should video content be? And we have 4 different options here. And earlier, someone in the comments also said they would watch this video number 4 because it's the shortest. But here, I would love to know from you, all of you, why, how long should a video be? So let me see if we can actually pull up this poll. Let me see if that actually works. Do you guys see this right now? Trying to see. Do I click on open? Maybe then it opens. Yeah, maybe now this works. Let me see if you guys can see this poll and respond to it. How long do you, what is your preferred video length to watch? When you're thinking about your instructional content that you like to watch, you have to fix something. Yeah, what do you think is best? And there are no wrong answers here because we all create different type of content. We all have different learning audiences and goals, and some things can be explained in 30 seconds, while other things simply can't be explained in a very short amount of time. Okay, cool. All right, let's see which answers we have. I'm gonna end this poll. I hope I see the results. This looks promising. I hope you can all still see this. So we have a strong emphasis on 1 to 2 minutes as well as 3 to 4 minutes. And then, some acceptance, or some people said, up to 7 or 8, 9 minutes is also okay. And I would completely agree with that. And let's take a look, and hopefully we can see those a bit side by side with the actual response from our learners. Yeah, I hope we can, I'm gonna close this poll in a second, but you can see it is almost the same, right? What you guys all responded. The majority of the users, and this is for instructional and informational videos put together, prefer content to be in the 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 minute range. Some people prefer them in the 1 to 2 minute range, but there also is a certain acceptance of content for up to, I would say, 19 minutes based on this data. And again, this comes down to not everything, every learner is different and not all content can be explained in the same amount of time. But what my takeaway would be for anyone creating video here is that users generally prefer shorter over longer formats, so keep your content short. But also don't feel like you have to pigeonhole yourself into this like 3 or 4 minute block, because it's not necessarily the answer to everything. Yeah, but in some cases it might be okay to create longer content if the need justifies the end, right? So if you're doing something about, I don't know, true rocket science, there might be good areas to do content that's a little bit longer. But I would definitely be careful not to create content that's longer than 15 or 20 minutes, because at that point, we're no longer necessarily meeting the expectation and wants from the viewers. Awesome. So can I close this part? Yes, I can. So let's keep going. Let's see what else we have. One question. Does this hold true for dividing longer content into chapters? From Jonathan, that's a great question, right? If we have longer content, can we break it up by using chapters or table of content? And I would absolutely say yes. I think that's a very good approach of doing it, because you're taking this long, complicated information and you're breaking it down into smaller, digestible chunks. And a table of content, or like a chapter-based approach, also allows the user to find the information they're looking for within a long video rather quickly. If they know they have, if you know you have a 15-minute video, and in the last 5 minutes you're discussing the advanced properties of your tool, then the audience knows, but that through the chaptering approach, they know at what point in the video, what information is available. So it also makes it more accessible, and they can jump to it What I would avoid is super long videos where there's a lot of content in there, but there's no way to navigate it or quickly find the spots you're looking for, because nobody wants to scrub through a 45-minute lecture trying to find for that one little anecdote that was mentioned or that one little detail that relates to the actual problem they are having, right? So, but yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't break content up, and I actually think it creates, yeah, can create a very nice linear learning path by having chapters and allowing people to access content that way. Cool. So let's talk about thumbnails. We had that come up before. People like smiling faces. Some of you said they picked it because it looked professional. And thumbnails, I think, are super powerful for conveying, yeah, the value of a video. Maybe we have to be a little bit careful as well, because thumbnails can also be misleading by, yeah, people put fun, super cool things on there. You click on the thumbnail and we've all seen it doesn't reflect the quality of the video or the content. But let's be some of the good side guys and use thumbnails to our advantage. And so, in my opinion, or generally, I think thumbnails can be really good because they can convey professionalism, they can convey information about the actual content you're looking at, they can tell you what type of video it is, and you can use it to convey and incorporate corporate branding. And I want to show you my absolutely favorite example, and that is the Sesame Street, because they've actually done a marvelous job of incorporating thumbnails and telling a story. Yeah, so I hope you can see the green pointer now. So they all look professional in the sense they look like somebody spent some time in optimizing them for the screenshot. They give me information about the content. So just by looking at it, I can tell what characters are in it, if it's Elmo or Cookie Monster or this something about brushing my teeth, right? I already know what this video could be about simply by looking at it. Also, in the corners, they have these little icons and text. So 80s old school, shorts, songs, full episode. So simply by looking at the thumbnails, whether it's on YouTube or the Sesame video player, I can already decide, hey, this is a tutorial. This is the type of content I'm looking for. And this is helping me visually separate and distinguish between the available offerings. And then, of course, the corporate branding is also included in the top right in every slide, as you can see, the Sesame Street logo. So they did a really marvelous job of not just making a pretty thumbnail, but trying to convey a little bit more about the content that is behind it. And this concept, of course, can also be applied to professional videos. So here's one from Microsoft, since we were talking about PowerPoint earlier. And it looks professional. The colors themselves can tell us what type of program it's about, because they have a really good corporate color palette. So red, of course, PowerPoint, green Excel, blue for Word. Then they have other content as well, like this interview, which is an expert interview. Based on the color, we can still associate it to a particular product, but we can also differentiate the interview at the bottom, episode 7, from the tutorials at the top. So by having some logic behind your thumbnails and some consistency,
Oh no, looks like we've lost Anton momentarily. Can you hear me, Kevin? Great, thanks for that, Joe. So I think the comment, we'll just wait for Anton to rejoin, but I think this comment about the thumbnails is so important, and there's a few of you in the chat here that I've worked with about thumbnails, um, and I think it's one of the questions I have, well, which thumbnail is chosen, and sometimes, for example, LinkedIn always used to be the first frame of your video. Yes, you can, Joe. You can do your thumbnail. So when you go to produce your video, on one of the wizard pages, it will ask you, do you want just the standard thumbnail, which could be a random. For me personally, it's my eyes are either closed or I've got a really strange look, which is not great when your thumbnail is seen all over social media. So yes, I'm a great advocate for selecting thumbnails, and as Anton is sharing here, that it's got to be clear, it's got to have a great message. If it's for yourself personally, looking into the camera, having a lovely smile, and The other thing that I mentioned there is consistency. So different platforms have different processes for uploading the thumbnail. I believe on Twitter, it's the first frame. And Neville, what are you saying there? I create a single frame for the thumbnail, which is the first frame, team picks it up. Absolutely, Neville. And I think it's only changed this week. I uploaded a video yesterday directly to LinkedIn. And when you go to edit to add in your CRT, your caption file, then I had the option to create a thumbnail. So I think that's possibly something that's changed. So go check that out. But you're absolutely right. It used to always be the first frame for LinkedIn and Twitter. I think Vimeo as well, you can upload a unique thumbnail. So sometimes I will, in my Camtasia timeline, I will move my playhead along to find out what the most appropriate frame is. And it's often, I might have the title slide. So it's not always that very first frame, but I find the one that's most appropriate for the video.
Go back.
Brilliant,
Thank you, Jayne.
Anton. Welcome back.
Yes, my browser decided to freeze itself, but I'm glad you all are still with us and that you continued the conversation about thumbnails. Shall we get going? I think we are good. So, this actually brings us to the title of this presentation or the session today, right? So why do people actually stop the video? And I would love to hear that from you. When you think about yourself as a learner, or if you think about your learning audience, and you created some video content, why do you think people might not finish watching your videos, but start it and stop and jump off? What do you think are some of the options for that? And you can either use the draw tool, which I'm now enabling, or you can add it into the chat. So someone says they got the information they needed, or they're not getting it, right? I'm gonna, let's see, I've got what I needed, this one, not the right topic, perfect, too much self-promotion over content probably, yeah, I'm gonna put it down as that, just boring and slow, yes, you guys are good, and I can tell you've all watched some videos and stopped them for exactly those reasons. Out of date.
Can I just mention there, Anton, some of you, if you're dialing in the browser, you might not have the text tools, but do is exactly what you're doing and add it into the chat, and I'll copy it onto the slideshow there. So that's brilliant. And a great point there about Neville and the ers, ums, and it might be appropriate just to mention that TechSmith have just released their new audio, Audiate, Anton, that automatically can remove the ums and ahs, is that right?
Yeah, that's true. We just released an audio tool to make what is the elevator pitch? To make audio editing as simple as text editing. So there's some really cool stuff in there. It's called Audiate. To be honest, I haven't actually used it that much yet, but it's pretty cool from what I've been told and what I've seen. So check it out, and then maybe at some point we can all get together and talk about Audiate as well. Cool. So back to the top reasons why viewers are stopping a video, and I think you all are, yeah. You're all learners, you're all viewers, you all know what's happening, you've all had these experiences, and it's great to see that confirmed that you're also sharing the same sentiment as most of our general learners. And I'm going to actually take a screenshot of that slide real quick because I just want to make sure I capture those points from all of you because I think that's super insightful. And so let's take a look. Oh, here are the actual results then that we got from the learners, and the big one is, yeah, they were not getting the right information. I'm going to watch this PowerPoint video because I have the need to remove my background. It didn't answer it, so goodbye. I'm on to the next video. Yeah, but the second one with boring, I think that falls into this category of too many or it being too slow, or yeah, not getting to the point fast enough. And these are all things that if we as people who create content, we have to think about on how can we actually avoid them. How can we make sure that our users are getting the right information? How can we make sure that our content is not boring? Because we want to help them and we want to keep them engaged, because the more they engage with our learning content or our content in general, the better their experience is, and that will reflect better on whatever it is you are doing, your brand or your product or your service, or just, yeah, general things. Yeah, so let's see what we have on the next one. So not getting the right information was the main reason why people stopped watching the video. in the context of learning and instructional content. And we asked why, right? You always should ask why questions after people give you an answer, just to go deeper. And here we had the top 3 answers, and one was, yeah, it was simply not detailed enough, meaning people couldn't follow along. It wasn't, there were no step-by-step instructions, which again, for instructional content, that's almost key. People want to see how do I do this myself. And then, yeah, content doesn't match the description. It was out of date. It wasn't relevant. Those are all reasons why people are, yeah, dissatisfied with the content they are getting. So flip that around. And these are all things that you should start or make sure you incorporate in your own content, right? Make sure your content matches the description and you have a very clear description in the title. And that you provide enough details that people can follow along. And in some cases, if needed or if it would be helpful, yeah, maybe provide some step-by-step instructions within that content as well. So think about, or make sure to keep that in mind. I'm sure a lot of you are already actively thinking about that most of the time. Then the other 2 things, content is boring or people had something else to do. So we are all busy. We're all getting drawn to other sites all the time. We have email going on, LinkedIn, all the different things. And I'm selfish. When I make videos, I want people to actually watch them, right? And I love seeing how many views I've gotten. And I love when people watch that stuff and don't just leave. So I'm really motivated to make sure that people watch my learning content as much as they can do. So how do we keep people like Jenna or learners watching? And yeah, another way of looking is at like, how do we keep that fire burning, right? So it's not just a dull content delivery, right? The content might still meet their need, but maybe it's still really dry and boring. And I should be showing some examples in a minute, but we asked people that question, and this was a multi-response where they could ask like, why did you actually keep watching that video once you started it, right? So it was less about why did you select it, but what actually kept you watching it. And the first one makes sense, right? They were interested in the topic. They had the need to learn. But then there's things like making the content relatable and authentic. Yeah, the speaker. Professional style was rated fairly low, and we'll talk about that in a second. But one thing that I think is also super interesting, unique or humor, was rated, yeah, only a quarter of the people roughly said that this was one of the key reasons why they kept watching the video. And this might be true to some extent, but I actually think that humor and a lot of these lower responses can help us to keep people engaged. Yeah, even if they're saying I have to watch this video because I need to learn about PowerPoint, by making the video slightly lighthearted or by having a good speaker or by using some audio in some extent or having good music in there, it doesn't necessarily have to, but it can help us keep people engaged. So let me show you a video for that. Let me see if this works. So this is a safety video from Delta Airlines from the year 2001, I believe, or 2003. And it's a very simple instructional informational video. It has some safety briefings in it. It tells people how to do certain things. And I'm going to play this back, and I hope you can all hear and see this the way I'm doing it. And I want us to very briefly to reflect on it after we watch this 30-second clip.
Please pay close attention to the following important safety information.
Please put all your carry-on luggage under a seat or in an overhead bin. Heavier things should go under a seat. Be careful when opening the overhead bins, as items may fall, and please be sure to close them tightly. If you're sitting in an exit...
Okay, I'm gonna pause this right here. Are you all still awake? Because I found this video to be incredibly boring and dull, and it conveyed the necessary information, but it simply didn't really resonate to me as a learner. And I remember watching or seeing videos like that in airplanes when we, back when we used to fly places. And the first thing that happens is all the learners on the airplane, they used to zone out and never watch this particular content. Yeah, and so that of course is good important information, but not conveyed in a very engaging way. So let me show you another example really quick, and maybe you've seen some of them as well. There might be some audio synchronization issues, but I'm just going to play this real quick so you get the idea. And this is from New Zealand Airlines, who are conveying the same safety information as that previous video, but they're taking a slightly different approach.
Welcome aboard Corsair Middle-earth flight. Before we set out on our journey, I would like to impart a story of safety. Even if you fly with us often, be sure to keep a sharp eye on the briefing. Make sure your belongings...
Okay, I'm gonna pause this video here. You can Google or YouTube it, just New Zealand Airlines. They had made a whole series of these type of videos. But I wanted to point out here is it's the same information, but because they used some storytelling, they used some good music, and by doing something creative, unique, and slightly humorous, they were able to draw us all in. And we were watching this video to see what hobbit is gonna pop up next, or where the elves are coming from, or who's sitting in the cockpit. But subconsciously, we are learning all the right things on how to behave on the airplane. And yeah, I think it's a really good example, sure, high budget, but a good example of content that can be presented in a really dull way by the example of Delta, and how that same content can be flipped and presented in a really engaging way that actually is enjoyable for learners to watch, and they're still getting the stuff they need to know by the end of the day. Yeah, let's see, just looking at time, we got a few minutes left, so there's a few more things I did want to make sure we bring up, and I have one final discussion activity I really wanted to do with everybody. So let me just wait for these slides to come back. 1 second, let's see what questions or chat stuff is going on. Lord of the Rings, story of safety. All right, so we talked about Lord of the Rings and this, and now so this is just generally some advice on creating good content or video content, right? People want it to be easy to follow. Step-by-step instructions are important when we can. And one thing that I think sometimes gets overlooked in a lot of industries is how professional does a video need to be? Does it need to be like the New Zealand airline ones, which is Hollywood-style production with real actors and everything? Or is it enough to do something, yeah, less? And I think it's, well, 24% of the people before responded that professional style really was a key driving force on why they kept watching content.
Oh no, we've lost Anton yet again. Okay, so Anton was just talking about being good enough, and it's something that I personally am trying to get better at accepting when is something good enough. I can be absolutely spend hours in Camtasia checking every frame and trying to improve, and oh, what if I did this? But actually now I think it's important to get the message out there. So I made a video yesterday. It wasn't perfect. I will be sharing my my hints and tips on my experience of it. But I think if I delayed it, I just wouldn't have got that video out, and it was for today's webinar. So I think, yes, I'm all for trying to be a professional style, but not dwelling on that content too much. So what else is everyone saying? So Neville, it isn't difficult to look professional and make a good video. You make some great videos, Neville, using your green screen and Camtasia, and also your Parrot teleprompter. Great eye contact there, and so yes. What else have we got? Jonathan says that I need to make a video for a marketing campaign this week, and we'll make a feature of the fact it's homemade in part. And I like that, Jonathan. Yes, I think it's important to you know, make it real, make it authentic. It is about you and me. So yes, I used to be, for my screencast videos, it used to be quite polished. But actually, I think it's important just to get that message out there. But quality is important. We've seen some of your previous comments that if something is bad audio, bad quality, then we will stop watching. And welcome back, Anton. Some great comments in here. Nikki, nothing will ever be finished. You are so right. That's me too. So I think it's just a matter of, yeah, get it out there. I think it's finding the happy medium, isn't it? And agree, Neville. Colin's saying that he agrees. Depends on the audience. If your market's professional, it needs to look good. It does. And I think Miles and Renata are on the call as well. We're all making sort of professional videos. So it's making that right impression, isn't it? So absolutely. But if, let me just, where's Anton gone? Oh, there you are. It's going to make host again. So yes,
Perfect.
welcome back, Anton.
Yeah,
We
I'm
were
not
just
sure
picking
what
up there. I was just talking about how I'm trying to let go of something being so polished, which I'm getting better at because it improves the speed. So I'm not sure if that's where you were going with that, but that's where I took the presentation.
Yeah, perfect. And I saw I think Nikki said, it's never going to be done, right? And one of my favorite quotes from Aaron Sams, he's an educator of the States, is, do I need it to be perfect or do I need it by Tuesday? And that is something I always like to think about. It's like, yeah, it will never be done. And at some point we just need to call it and get on to the next thing because most likely that's where we're having the stronger impact. Cool. So we talked a little bit about video. Just to round this up in the next few minutes, as part of this research study, we also asked people to send us videos they consider to be great. Yeah, and we analyzed them to see what kind of common elements actually showed up. And these are some of the elements we saw. And I would love to do this little brainstorm activity where you all, if I enable the drawing tools, and if you click on the shape tool, you should be able to enable a star. And I want you to place a star on whatever you think, you have 3 stars on whatever category or item you think are the most important for a great instructional video from your perspective. Yeah, just to see what you would prioritize in terms of what you would make sure is within a really good video. So if you otherwise, feel free to also just click on that. So yeah, click on the square and hold down in the drawing tools. Click on the square. It should expand a kind of a longer item. And then you can select the star. Otherwise, just use the text tool and type a little star in there or type in the chat which one you think are the most important audio, footage, and text overlays. Nikki, why do you think text overlays are so important? Yeah, voice over. And I know this question is a bit broad because it applies to different kind of content, so it all can change a little bit based on what you're doing. What is a call out? Great question. Yeah, I should have. I was thinking a visual bubble or something that essentially provides additional information to what is already in the video. So any kind of overlay that help to guide the user. And in some way, one could probably combine the text overlays and the callouts as a category if we were to talk about that. So looking at all the stars coming, this is really fun. This looks very pretty. Yeah, I think we all are in agreement that audio and voice quality are super, super important. And I think we all agree with that. And I read a study a while ago, I can't find it anymore, but it was speaking to the amount of, how good audio quality actually is more than 50% of a driving force to the understanding of a user. And if the audio quality is bad, both from a background noise, but also from just an understandability factor, it makes the actual learning so much harder because we're spending so much brain energy on trying to actually understand what is being spoken, and we're not spending that energy then on trying to understand the concept that are behind it. We got a few stars on camera footage as well, and I think that is great as well because I think camera footage can be used to make things more authentic. Especially they help to make things maybe more relatable because we can show real people, we can show smiles, we can show things from the real world as they apply to the learning outcome. So even if it's just pretty pictures for the sake or showing the office building from the outside or showing some 2 co-workers interacting, anything that is a bit more active, colorful, helps to make the content generally a little bit more enjoyable and consumable. And again, of course, there's a lot of information in camera footage as well in terms of seeing someone do something or explaining something. It would probably also be camera footage and visible speaker can also go hand in hand, where you can use yourself or a subject matter expert as a speaker within the video to make sure people are connecting on a deeper level. So let's see what we what people responded to that question, yeah? Or not, sorry, this is not what people responded, but when we analyzed those 100 videos, we tried to see what of these things actually showed up in these videos. And to be fair, most of the videos we reviewed were placed on YouTube, so they're slightly different than content that you might have in an LMS or in a learning course. So just keep that in mind. But again, the absolute winner is, yeah, a good video. More or less all of them had pretty good audio, and the narrator was easy to understand. And I think that is hopefully something you all are already doing, and if not, something to invest in. And yeah, same the way, camera video was included in a lot of them. We saw a lot of the speaker and just generally showing real-world content. And now I just want to talk to the third one, the hyperlinks or call to action, because we actually didn't, I think on the previous slide, we didn't call it out as much. But to me, this is quite key, because a learner watches your video and then they come to the end of the video. And now what do they need to do? And based on what you're doing, the call to action could be, now go and apply this to your own project in PowerPoint. But it could also be, visit our website to watch more videos about PowerPoint. Or watch this next video in the series to learn how to animate transparent backgrounds in PowerPoint, right? And the idea behind it being is that the learning journey doesn't necessarily just stop after one video, but rather we can use it as an opportunity to help guide the learner towards more learnings and more information that they might find relevant. And these links or call to actions, they can either be in the video as like a HTML5 hyperlink, they can be put in the description, the speaker in the video can just say it and call it out to the audience. But I think there's a lot of value in making sure the learners, we don't leave them hanging at the end, but we're telling them where can they go or what could they be doing next as a way to improve the overall learning journey. And I hope some of you agree with that. So back to the beginning, right? Looking at the time, 1 minute left more or less. So I do have a few more minutes and I hope you do. We can stay for a few more chats. I think the key is always think about your learning audience and make content for them. Think about where they are, how they're going to be looking for it, where are they going to be finding it, and then making sure that we apply it really, or that your content meets the needs of that audience. So in other words, to me it is, right, you need videos, top left corner, need to have a clear goal. I need to have a clear goal, and that needs to be really clearly communicated. We have to work for our audience. Description and titles are a big part of that. The content, of course, has to be accurate, but also really easy to follow. We talked about video lengths, so making content maybe as short as possible, but as long as necessary. Oops, there's some copy and paste error. And with anything we're doing, right, it's one thing to make sure the information is correct, but we also need to bring our viewers in to make sure they're engaged and they stick watching it. What else do you guys think would be really important when creating your videos? And this is why I have created these 3 things at the bottom. Feel free to add your own text, or I can just type things in here as well for what you might think are also main criteria for important videos or when you are creating content. Let's see if anything is coming on. Otherwise, one of my favorite ones that is not on this list is simply the structure of the content, right? So how easy is it to follow? How well are the information presented? How quickly can you get to the point? So that does overlap a little bit with some of these other categories, but I don't think it can be stressed often enough that content needs to be, well designed. And a lot of you are instructional designers, so I think you know all about content design. And I think that's something we can or should be reinforcing within all of our content, whether it's video or other things. Anything else that you'd like to add to this very end in terms of what makes a great video, or what you would think is a good video? I saw accessibility earlier in one of the comments, so maybe I can add that. Accessibility, captions, this is getting more and more important, and I'm really glad it is. Anything else? If not, I think that is it from my slide perspective. If there's anything else we should talk about, we could, but I think at this point we might as well just bring it to the end, and we are more than happy to continue this conversation with any and all of you at any time. And I know Jayne posted this already in the chat, but I'm going to do this right now one more time. We also have the full study available. The first link is a broken URL. Let's do this again and correctly. So this is the blog post where you can look at all the data and download the PDF in which I talk extensively more about, my colleague will talk a lot more about the findings, and you can look at all that data one more time. Anything else or that you would like to talk about? Anything else that is on everybody's mind? Otherwise, I wanted to say I really enjoyed this interactive part of the session. I'm really glad you all threw out your ideas. It was really good to see that, yeah, you're thinking about your learners and the way you think about yourself as a learner as well, and the reasons for, yeah, maybe, I hope this is all stuff we can apply to our own content and making this even better. And who knows, maybe 1 year from now at one year from now we all get to travel, and maybe we'll have a meetup in the UK at some point, and we can actually try to do some of these workshop exercises in person as well. But I think it's really fun to have this as a collective brainstorm.
Anton, you've been absolutely superb. Thank you so much. I'm sure that the comments are coming through that it was a great session. Thank you very much. Really interesting. Lots of key takeaways for people. And I'd really like to personally thank you for joining us today. We could talk absolutely much more. So I think some more schedules, hopefully, and I look forward to that meeting. Do take a look at the research. Anton has shared those links, so we'll leave the chat open for a couple of more minutes so you can grab those if you haven't. I will release the recording, and I also want to say a massive thanks to Jo Cook, because she's enabled me to use Adobe Connect today. And if you need any webinar help, then do check out Lightbulb Moment, and Jo will be is superb in that area. If you'd like more information about Raiveon, my company, Kevin has just put in the information, raiveon.com. We also have video equipment, including the Parrot teleprompter. So thank you so much again, and I'd love to hear your feedback, and I wish you a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. It's great. Thanks for having me, Jayne.
Thanks you so much, Anton. All right, take care.
Participating.